I am ready for my Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode, the one where Petey was right. Because over the weekend, I put out a video talking about this kind of unknown draft prospect, a name that was rising certainly, but not at the front of every single draft savant's forehead, and that was the edge rusher out of Marshall, Mike Green. We only got 5,000 views on the video, and fast forward to Wednesday, and this is the number one player people are talking about at the Senior Bowl for this clip right here.
Plenty of smaller school players. Oh. Plenty of smaller school players. Oh. Plenty of.
Mike Green just completely bulldozes right tackle Josh Connerly out of Oregon, who is projected to go in the first round. The Senior Bowl is good for a couple of things. It's good for scouts and GMs and coaches to see some of these players in person, up close, to see how they react to a bad play, a bad snap, and how they respond. And it's also a great opportunity for guys like Mike Green who play in the Sun Belt and don't go up against SEC teams every single Saturday and don't really come up on national radars across Mel Kipers of the world. And that's why I put a video out on Saturday talking all about this. So if you love that rep from Mike Green of completely bulldozing an offensive tackle at the Senior Bowl, I highly recommend you go watch this video after this video because you're going to love to learn more about him. And we were on it before that clip even came out and before the Senior Bowl started, which is why you got to subscribe. I know that I'm not going to bat 1,000, and last offseason I may have had some predictions that did not come to fruition. But I'll tell you what, I'll never stop making you guys content every single day. I'm always going to try and teach you something, inform you of something, and make sure you leave our video learning more than you did before you stepped in. So subscribe to the channel right now if you're looking for a free daily Falcons YouTube channel. Going back to Mike Green, though, because he is rising up draft boards, and a lot of Falcons fans want him to be the pick at 15, I thought these tweets were very interesting or might catch your interest. So Field Yates said that after the first day of the practice in the Senior Bowl, Mike Green has opted out, and I think it's a pretty good decision, meaning everyone is seeing what they needed to see out of him, which is, hey, can you go up against, I wouldn't say real competition because that's so demeaning to the Sun Belt teams out there, but more notable competition, like a projected first-round pick out of Oregon. Yeah, I can. In fact, I'll put him on his back. All right? We got a lot of tweets out there of who was the best player in the offensive line. We got a lot of tweets out there of offensive linemen saying the best player we went up against today was Mike Green. There are reports of, hey, amongst defensive linemen, who's the best of the bunch here? Mike Green. The senior from Marshall is the talk of the town in Mobile, Alabama, and is definitely in the running for the Falcons at pick number 15. And I think, and this might be a bit of a reach, but I think if he has a great NFL combine, he could even go top 10. So we might need to pull back a little bit on the Mike Green support and propaganda because he may not even fall to the Falcons at 15, which sounds a little strange, but keep in mind, 2 years ago, no one was really talking about Trayvon Walker going top 5, top 10. All of a sudden, he's the first overall pick from the pre-draft process. I think Mike Green might be this year's Trayvon Walker. Not all the way to first overall, but he might creep up from being, hey, end of round 1 guy to top 10, top 15. He led the country in sacks with 17, finished second in tackles for loss. Now, the concern that I've seen some people have for Green, and it's not about him playing at Marshall, and it's not even so much about his size at 6'3", 251 pounds. I think he can play the outside linebacker role nicely in a 3-4 defense. The concern some people have is he someone who can play on first, second, and third down? If you are taking someone in the first round at this position, you are not looking for a specialist, right? You're not looking for someone who excels on third and long and obvious passing situations. You are ideally searching for someone who can play on first down and stop the run and set up your pass rush for second and third down. I personally don't have concerns over Green's ability to play in every situation possible. But other teams might have that concern. So that is just one thing to keep in the back of your mind. If your overarching thought still remains, you can't take this kid. He played at Marshall. Who did he play, Paul? Didn't go up against Alabama. Yeah, neither did Hassan Reddick. I think he's having a pretty good career. Neither did Khalil Mack from Buffalo. I like what he's up to. Neither did Jason Pierre-Paul with all of his rings and more rings than fingers. Larry English for NIU, unfortunately, did not have a great career. Jason Babin had a very long career. All these are players that did not go to a traditional Power 4, Power 5 school, went first round of the draft, and I see 4 players who had very long, successful careers, including one who I think is a future Hall of Famer, Khalil Mack. Also, if the size is an issue for you, 1, my fiance told me size does not matter. 2, TJ Watt came to the combine a few years ago, 6'4", 252 pounds. It's not very far off from where our friend Mike's at. On 6'3", 251. And I think that's the role for Mike Green, is he's not probably going to be a traditional defensive end in a 4-3 defense. I don't think he'll be as dynamic as Watt, who is so good in coverage, at creating takeaways, interceptions, who's so good at just having a nose for the football when it comes to forced fumbles. So yeah, if the bar is he's got to be as good as an NFL Defensive Player of the Year, then you may be disappointed. But I do think he has the capability of being a 10-plus sack guy who makes a few Pro Bowls in his career. So after seeing that viral clip from the Senior Bowl, do you want to draft Mike Green? Give me a yes or give me a no in the comment section. Would love to hear from you down below. All right, now next up on the show, I want to talk about a sleeper pick for round number 2. You know who you are, but someone commented, Petey, can you please talk about some round 2 draft targets? So that is what I want to do next on today's episode. But first, I got to give a big special shout out to Game Time. Game Time has this awesome feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. You see, Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I love about Game Time is they offer the Game Time guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. All that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. One name that I just want to put on your radar is the Ole Miss edge rusher, and I rehearsed pronouncing his last name 100 times, and I'm definitely going to get it wrong, but it's Princely Umanmielen. It's like Ellen DeGeneres kind of at the end. Umanmielen. Messages is clear for Atlanta Falcons fans. When it comes to size and production, the last 2 seasons, no one in this class has produced as much as me. So let's get to know a baller first name of a player, Princely, kind of like Prince Mukamura, which I can pronounce that name, no problem. 6'4", 264 pounds, so very good size altogether. I think he can be a versatile guy up front, and whether it's a 5 technique kind of wide nine or a kicked out defensive end, or as an outside linebacker as well. Started his career off with the Gators and then transferred to Ole Miss, where he finished second in sacks in the SEC this past year with 10.5. And he's not joking about the production, which if you've watched our channel before, you know that when it comes to edge rushers, I highly value production because there's always a bazillion track stars in the draft, but I want football players, not guys who are here to throw the shot put in the javelin. So Princely, 10.5 sacks in 2024, 7 sacks and 12 tackles for loss in 2023. We're looking at someone who is not just a good pass rusher, but a great run stopper as well. So I'm thinking there could be a bigger possibility than maybe I want to acknowledge of, with it being such a deep defensive line class, there is a scenario where maybe like Will Johnson from Michigan, the corner, falls to 15, and the Falcons go, even though we desperately need pass rush help, and the number one spot to include your pass rush is at the front 7, we can circle back to this in round 2 and address our need at corner in round 1, knowing the combination of Will Johnson and Princely, for example, in round 2, might be a better duo than Mike Green and insert corner in round 2. That's just some food for thought with how deep this draft class is at the defensive line. Don't be blown away if they don't go edge in round 1 and they save it for round 2. If I had to put money down, I'm thinking they go edge in round 1. But if someone they love falls to them in round 1, they may not feel so pressured to go edge at that spot because they can come back to it later. Having said all this, I'll also say this as well. Do not rule out a trade back at pick number 15. Terry Fontenot's not working with a lot. We just looked at it. 5 picks. 2 of those are in round 7. So let's just say he's working with 3 picks, right? First, second, and a fourth. He might be very eager to pull off a trade. And so with that in mind, here is a trade idea that I could see happening. Chargers trade up from the 22nd spot to the 15th spot. And in exchange for moving back 7 spots, the Falcons acquire a 3rd-round pick, which they do not currently have because of the Matthew Judon trade, and a 5th-round pick. So now they are back in round 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all for moving back 7 spots. Why would the Chargers move up? I think the Chargers really want to get a tight end. You know who else really wants a tight end? The Broncos at 20. It's not impossible if the Chargers go, yeah, we're also going to screw over one of our division rivals in the process of aiding and helping our own roster by getting the best tight end. And so if that means giving up a 3rd and a 5th as like a win-win where we get our tight end and we take the Broncos' #1 target, that seems like something Harbaugh would do. And after moving back to pick 22, I have no idea for certainty who will be available at this point. But one name that I do think has a good chance of falling to this portion of the draft is Mykel Williams out of Georgia. And at 22, this could be a really good pick. You're not going to find a perfect edge rusher when you're in the 20s of the round 1. But if you are looking for someone who's got the tools, he's got the frame for what could be a really good pass rusher, Williams is your guy. He's 6'5", he's 265 pounds. Yet again, Kirby Smart just pumps these guys out of a factory of these like hand-tailored and chiseled edge rushers that he just keeps finding year after year. Now, he does not have a ton of great production from his time in Athens, but I think you can fairly so chalk some of that up to missing time with an ankle injury / battling through an ankle injury. But in some of the biggest games for the Bulldogs this year, like the SEC Championship game, Williams came to play. So I like this option right here. Another name that I'll just throw your way, Benjamin Morrison. Let's say Williams is gone and the Falcons are saving edge rusher for round 2. Morrison is an interesting name to watch for. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get to see enough of him in 2024. He suffered a season-ending hip injury halfway through the season, but he's very versatile. He can play inside. He can play outside. He's known for his quickness, his fluidity. He's got really good technique altogether, and he's got great ball skills as well. Morrison, over the last couple of years, putting together 9 interceptions for the Fighting Irish. So if you're looking for a guy who can have a nose for the football and make a big play or two, he's your man. I mean, look what he did his first year in South Bend. 6 interceptions, 5 pass breakups. This year, unfortunately, the productivity was not there because, the snaps weren't there due to the injury. And if you can get past the injury and the medicals check out, this could be a really good gem for you in round 2 or late in round 1 of the draft. Before we get on out of here, make sure to like today's video if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it. It goes a long way to support the channel, so make sure you scroll on down and hit that thumbs up button.